Hi, everybody. It's Marianne Bailey of the Hip Senior Podcast, Book Edition. And today we are talking with Teepa Snow, who is the well-known and respected for her work in the world of dementia, Teepa Snow. Thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome, Marianne. Good to be here.
I still want to say world renowned, but
I know. Yeah. Just because I go all over the place.
That is very true. You just got back from Australia. So,
Yeah.
and now we're talking about grandma's living with dementia. So, what was grandma doing on this trip?
What was grandma doing? Well, my grandma's gone, but she's living with dementia. So, one of the tricky parts is being a kid when grandma's living with dementia. And what we found is there weren't a lot of books out there about when you have somebody in your world that you've known one way and they start to be different as a kid. You know, that can be a tricky thing, especially when parents are upset, parents are concerned. And sometimes kids are like, it's not a big deal. And parents are really finding it to be a big deal because they're trying to cope and learn. But on the other hand, sometimes things happen that surprise kids and can get them to pull away and not want to be engaged. And so we've had enough experience around kids and with kids that we thought it was important to come up with something that we can incorporate some of our positive approach message for kids. And so it's a story that you can read with a kid. And in the back, it has some ideas for, parents with some general resources and some ideas and the authors and, so just things you may want to think about. Kids sort of, so to start it off, it's sort of like we have a how do you use the book for folks when they're just getting started. Like, how can you do that?
Right.
Because sometimes libraries want to get it. On Saturdays, we always go to Shady Grove Home to visit my favorite person in the world, Grandma. And it's really cool if you're a good, sort of fun reader. But, it says, Mom gets really nervous when we go, but I am always super excited to see what Grandma's up to. So, it's really a story about, sometimes she's angry and grouchy, because that's a reality. And, sometimes she wants to play the name game. And so getting a conversation that you can actually, it's a story, but it's also the child is living in a world where dementia is part of it. It may not be grandma, it may be grandpa, it may be dad or mom or my uncle or a friend. I mean, it could be lots of different people, but this is sort of an opening book. We have others in the series that'll be coming out.
Oh, great.
But this is just getting used to the idea that kids are going to need support too. This is just not for one. And so it also gives us a way to look at, it's not just one thing called Alzheimer's. So in the book, why is it called dementia? What is this thing called dementia? And so we do some basic understanding stuff, not just for kids, for parents too, because awareness is key. And we don't know what people know when they purchase the book. So we want to make sure they at least know something a little bit more when they're done, not just for kids.
And kids pick up on the things that you don't think, you think you're having an adult conversation with somebody in the room, that your kid's listening. Trust me.
Tone of voice, they pick up on tone of voice real quick.
I know my daughter picked up on everything that was said, especially when they're an only child. Like they definitely hear the adults speaking. And so the fact that if you think, your parent has dementia and you don't want your child going into a situation where they're confused and hurt because grandma's usually huggy and today she's just not feeling it.
So learning to take your cues from grandma. So you offer a big hug, and if she doesn't do this, she says, "Who are you?" Then you go, "Oh, you want to know who I am? I'm Teepa. Hey, well, I have a granddaughter named Teepa. Huh? She looks all like me,
right?
I mean, kids can learn this stuff. It's really remarkable how quickly. I mean, we've done training with kids, and kids learn really quick. Their brains are changing like that. So it's really kind of fun sometimes to play with kids. They're easier learners than sometimes adults are.
Oh, by far. That's why they teach kids languages and stuff starting really young these days, because they can pick it up and do that, where me just trying to remember Spanish from high school is ridiculous right now. So I would give anything to go back and relearn that stuff as a child, because they're just little sponges.
Mm-hmm.
They just pick all that up, like they say. So, Teepa, if a child's reading this, if the parent is reading it to them, what do you hope that they get when they put this book down?
That they may have a chance to work on their relationship or their relationship with a third party. Because our goal is to open people's eyes to this thing called dementia. It's not all awful. It's not all great. It's real, though. And sort of being willing to talk about it, even with kids, instead of this hush hush thing.
Right.
Or, oh, no, I'm so sorry. I don't want to take you today. She's not having a good day, but I want to go. That idea of not hiding things, but not exposing kids. And so I hope that we get to a place where people can be a little more comfortable with this thing called dementia when it's involving somebody else that we care about.
I was just thinking as you were saying that, teaching these children that you never know what that may wrap around their brains for future career choices. I mean, I was exposed as a child to my mom being a nurse in a senior home, and here I am working with all kinds of specialists around seniors. From you as a dementia specialist to different authors to different caretakers and doctors and stuff. And so you just never know. Expose your kids to stuff, and sometimes it's not all pretty, but at least they're learning, right?
But you're learning and you're deciding, is this a place for me? Is this something that draws me? Is this something that I don't think so. It's like, and people can change, but at the same time, if you never have a chance, then all it is a black box that you never go to.
Yeah.
So,
and even subconsciously, you just never know what the future brings you. So, but if you're exposed to it, then you can't say this is brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for writing that wonderful book. It looks so colorful.
I've got to give credit. See, this one, here's the deal.
Your daughter.
Those are my daughters.
Okay.
My daughters wrote the book because, right now I'm good. Who knows? But they are both teachers. They were both teachers, one elementary, one special ed. And so they know kids and they know how kids learn. And so, the content, but the story, they came up with a story to help kids learn because that's their level of expertise.
That is genius. So it's a family.
Play your strengths.
Teepa, thanks for being with us today.
You're welcome, Marianne. My pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye.